by cutting the bottom seam of the shirt. Make sure you save the seam you just cut off to use as a strap later on. You want it to be in a strip rather than in a circle. Then cut the edge of the shirt like so, going up 2 to 3 inches, really depending on your preference. Tug each strip you just cut to give it a more worn and fashionable look. Take the strips that are across from each other to tie a double knot. It is better if you make the first knot loose and the second knot really tight. Stretch the strip back to its normal weight. Don't worry if you hear ripping sounds, it's completely normal. Repeat the steps on the sleeves. When you cut the strips, just cut all the way to the seam. Cut the collar off in a wide curve. Leave 2 to 3 inches from the cut edge to the shoulder seam. Stretch out the freshly cut opening. Cut a slit on both sides, about 1 inch away from the sleeve seam. Slide the sleeve seam you saved in the beginning through the slits and make a double knot. Cut off the extra fabric from the knot. If you want to add pockets, take your second set of fabric and cut it into your desired pocket shape, leaving 1 centimeter extra around the edges. I just used a sleeve I cut off from a t-shirt I cut up a while ago. Hold 1 centimeter of each edge back and pin it in place. Glue the edges down with a hot glue gun. This will allow a cleaner edge. Hot glue the pocket down in the desired area. Make sure you keep the glue closest to the outer edge as possible. Make sure you don't glue the top edge of the pocket down. If you use a shirt with a stretchier fabric, then the bag will droop down the more weight you put in. To avoid this, take a fabric that isn't stretchy and double knot it to the same slit. Then spiral it around the initial strap and double knot it to the other slit. Cut off excess fabric again and problem solved! Fold the fabric diagonally. Knot the 2 corners closer to the closed edge of the triangle. The farther in you tie, the deeper the bag will be, but the shorter the width is. It honestly will just take a little guessing to get the perfect fit, but it shouldn't take too long. Separate the layers and tuck in the 2 knots you just made inside of the bag. Tie the 2 remaining corners together to make a strap. Flip the shirt inside out. And tie the bottom edge tightly with a hair tie. Try not to leave a lot of extra fabric sticking out of the hair tie, but leave enough so that it doesn't come out if you add weight in your bag. Flip the shirt right side out. As I said, the bigger armholes and lower neckline, the better. The following steps will be for fabric that is not already a whole rectangle. You can skip these steps if it is already whole. Cut the fabric you want to use into many random and big chunks. Place them on a pillowcase as you go, just as a guide to know where to put the fabric and what shape to cut and how much you need. Once you finish placing the pieces, start pinning every piece together. Be careful not to pin it onto the pillowcase. If you aren't using a whole piece of fabric, it is much better to use a sewing machine rather than needles and thread. Sew all the pieces together. Before you start sewing, make sure you overlap a very small section of the beginning of the seam 3 times by going forward, backward, then forward again. This secures the seam in place. This honestly took a while for me to finish sewing together, so be prepared for a more time-consuming project with this step. Get your second set of fabric that is roughly the same size as the pillowcase. I just used an old t-shirt that I didn't like anymore. This will be the lining. Pin the lining down to the outer fabric and sew all the edges. Once you finish, fold the fabric in half, wrong sides out. Cut the corners closer to the closed edge of the rectangle to your liking. For the other side, trace the piece you just cut off onto the other corner to achieve even cuts. Make sure the edges are evenly cut. Pin and sew along the sides of the fabric only. As for the straps, I used strips of fabric I had previously cut out. If your fabric isn't long enough, you'll still have to do this step. Use your body to calculate the appropriate length. Sew strips of fabric together until you have the correct length. You want to leave this much space from the edges. Now start pinning down about 1 inch of the raw edge and sew it down. You want the middle to be skinnier than the ends, so start pinning the middles together to make about 1.5 inches width, making sure the ends are a little thicker for a nice gradual effect. Sew that down once you finish. Flip the back so the side seam is in the middle. Evenly place the ends of your straps along the side seam. Don't leave too much of the widest area of the straps hanging off the bag. A little bit is okay, but not a lot. Pin, sew, and you are done.